Hey there, YouTube. This is the Lon Chaney Reviewer here. I'm going to take a break from my favorite film series, and I'll get back to doing request reviews eventually. But just want to let you guys know I do have a Facebook page and link below, so you should like that. And I'll be posting updates, news, anything like that, and I'll be posting any of these videos. Yeah, so if you want to send in a request for me, a movie for me to review, please comment, send me a personal message on YouTube or whatever, but be sure to subscribe, all the other good stuff. So today I'm going to talk about what I think in terms of the movies I've seen of Batman, perhaps the best version. For me personally, speaking as a person who is a casual Batman fan. So let me get this review started. So today I'm going to be discussing Batman The Dark Knight Returns Parts 1 and Part 2. Basically at the same time, because these are basically two halves of one film. Now, for those of you who don't know, for the last couple of years, Warner Brothers and DC have been putting out like these animated DC movies that are kind of more on the mature side. And I've only seen a few of them. I've only seen Batman Gotham Knight, which I thought was really quite good. I've seen Batman Under the Red Hood, which I also thought was very good. But then I saw these two films, and these films just were, for me, the best Batman incarnation I've ever seen. But for me personally, not as like, I'm not going to say this is the best Batman movie ever, because too many people get angry about that, but this is my favorite incarnation of the character. Now, for those of you who don't know, it was based off of the graphic novel Batman The Dark Knight Returns, as you can see, by Frank Miller. Now, this graphic novel was released in the 1980s and is still often considered to be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, Batman story ever written. What is the basic plot of Batman The Dark Knight Returns, you might ask? Well, Batman is 55 years old. It's been 10 years since he last put on the cape. And crime is just crazy in Gotham. And everything is just, it's so depressing because you're depressed because all the villains aren't the same, Batman isn't the same, and even like heroes aren't the same. Like, for example, they make mention of the fact that, Wonder Woman is done, the Green Lantern's done, and Green Arrow works as kind of like a vigilante, but he, something happens with him. I don't feel like spoiling that. Batman is forced to retire, but Superman is working with the government. It's actually kind of depressing when you watch this or read this. It's really, really quite sad. And you have like Two-Face. His face is restored, but he's still not satisfied. The Joker is depressed. Like I'm like, oh my god! I never thought I would be able to see something like this. The Joker is not only very subtle, but he's also very depressed because Batman, he's lost all purpose. He's in a very catatonic state. They're trying to feed him, but he's just not doing it. And then when he finds out Batman has returned, it's like the greatest news in the world. And it's just so well pulled off. But what do I love about this movie in terms of the casting? Well, of course, it goes without saying Kevin Conroy, who is famous for doing Batman the Animated Series and the Arkham games, and other animated incarnations of Batman like Justice League, is still the best at what he does, playing Batman. But this is done by Peter Weller. Peter Weller was RoboCop, and the only problem with his performance is that he really didn't differentiate from the Batman voice and the Bruce Wayne voice, but I loved his portrayal of both characters because finally we have a Batman that's just filled with misery and dread. Or like, we've had them before, but this one especially feels like that's just all he is. He's just, past 10 years, it's just this empty void. And he always, and in the graphic novel, he keeps talking about, you know, how he wants to die or something. He's like, this would be a nice ending for me, or this would be a great death for me. And it's just, it's kind of disturbing, almost. It's not even like thrill-seeking. He just wants to die, which is really disturbing. They don't bring it up as much in the movie, but it's still kind of there, because there's a race car. There's a car race in the beginning that he's in, and he has an inner monologue in the book when that happens. And there's a lot of inner monologues in the book. But I'm trying to think what else I really loved. But I thought Peter Weller was very good because he just really captured the misery of this character. And I also love how Batman looks, because Batman doesn't look like this very athletic guy. He's like on the bigger side. Like, yeah, he could probably kick your ass, but he's not like as strong as he used to be. And it was much more believable for me to see him get his ass kicked than it was for, say, Christian Bale in The Dark Knight Rises to get his ass kicked. Because it was just like, you know, it was kind of over the top. He had a cane and everything else. But Batman in this, he is broken, he is beaten up, but he still keeps going. And it's actually much more believable than The Dark Knight Rises, in my opinion. Apologies in advance for those of you who are fans of The Dark Knight Rises. I'm glad you were able to enjoy that film, but I thought it was just okay. So, but anyway, this is what I would have wanted The Dark Knight Rises to be like this film, because this film is just so good. But the one element I loved in this was Superman. Now, Superman's still like, you know, you gotta do things the right way and all that sort of stuff, but here's the difference. He's working for the government, and it's more morbid because he's just, you know, he's a government war machine, and they say this in one of the short documentaries on the Blu-ray, that if you think about it, he's probably responsible for more deaths than the Joker. And the only reason why they let him around is because they want to prevent the government from getting embarrassed or other things. And the conclusion of The Dark Knight Returns Part 2 has a fight between Batman and Superman. I'm not going to say how it ends, but I will say one of my favorite lines in anything is where, okay, Superman's just like, Bruce, if it's not going to be me, they're going to send someone else. And then Batman's just like, yeah, who do they send after you? Because it's just like, you know, Superman's like the most powerful thing ever. And it's like, Superman's not doing that great anyway in the fight. It's pretty evenly matched. So it's like, shoot, Batman has a point there. But I really love these two films as one. It's probably, if somebody asked me what's your favorite Batman film, most people would say The Dark Knight, or Dark Knight Rises, Batman Begins, or Tim Burton Batman. I'd say Batman The Dark Knight Returns Parts 1 and 2, because they're just so damn compelling. That's really all I have to say. I highly recommend these two films. I don't know if they're on Netflix right now. You can watch them on Amazon Instant Stream or Instant Play, which is where I watched Part 1 first, and I bought Part 2 on Blu-ray. Bought both parts on Blu-ray, as you can see. And I saved some money at Suncoast with my discount card. So, what are the special features on these Blu-rays? Well, of course you have the DVD and the ultraviolet copies. That is just standard for these movies now. And you also have some short documentaries on, like, Batman vs. Superman, Carrie Kelly. Oh, that's the other thing I want to mention. Carrie Kelly is Robin. It's like a female Robin. And I didn't know if I was going to like the character at first, but she worked in the context of the story. She worked as another sidekick for Batman. So that's really about it. You guys have any questions, please comment below. And if you want to request a review, like I said, comment below, or message me on YouTube. You can like the Facebook page, which will have below. And my next favorite movies review will be City Lights. I'm trying to remember what my next requested review is. It's going to be Silver Linings Playbook. And after that, probably Blazing Saddles. So, that's about it. Thanks, guys.